This is something to hold us, where our mission is to bring people closer to their emotions through conversations about our life experiences to understand not only who we are, but who we want to be. This week is going to be a little bit of a different episode. I'm going to abandon all this structure I've built, the house that I built. Just to do a quick check-in with my brother, just a little bit of insight into how we usually talk to each other and just to hold each other accountable. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on again.
I appreciate you for joining me as always, but I still want to kick it off with a community meeting.
Let's do it.
I kind of asked you already, but this time I want to ask you again. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, but my nose, my nose situation right now, man. Super stuffed, so kind of annoyed.
Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10.
The annoyance?
Yeah.
7.
Can I check back in with you later?
Absolutely.
What is your goal for today or this week?
The goal for the week, the goal for today was to make sure we call today's game day. So to make sure that we do our thing, both of us, on our game days. And for the week, to finish one book.
For this upcoming week or last week?
It was for this week. So this is, I guess, the end of the week today?
Okay.
I don't know, do we consider Sunday start or end?
Sunday's my start.
Oh, okay. So this is the end of the week for me.
Okay.
But yeah.
So your goal for next week is to finish one book?
I think I want to go, to be completely honest with you, and could be the accountability part. One book a week. I found myself rushing through it and not like actually retaining the information. So I think I want to go to either a bi-weekly situation or, just start at once a month and then whatever comes with that, if it's more than one, but give myself that grace.
I respect that. And you do find yourself in a lot of different, let me run that back. You wear a lot of different hats. So I can see how putting one book a week can put a hamper in your schedule in different parts of your life.
Yes, sir.
So that being said, what book did you read last week?
So it started off as the was it the Wallflower? I forgot it. See, it started off one, but then I realized I know you was kind of excited to know about that book. I think it was like the Perks of Being a Wallflower or something.
Yeah, that was it.
Right, that's what I started off being. But then I abandoned that book, or I made a pivot, and I started reading the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by John C. Maxwell.
All right, before we go on, I was going to ask you what made you abandon it, but keep that answer.
Okay.
Just so the people know, me and Jakai have set a goal where we used to be in a book club with somebody else, and we're trying to still keep that up in our own type of way. And it was a pretty lofty goal of reading at least one book a week, because I guess that's where I'm at, because I do have the time and our schedules are a little bit different. So I do appreciate him being honest about him not being able to keep up with that, and that's not a knock at anything. It's just somebody, when you reassess your situation, you gotta let me know or let your accountability partner know what really works for you. Because if you're running through something, like he said, and not really retaining the knowledge, it's not really worth putting in your head.
Right.
But back to the question. What made you abandon the Perks of Being a Wallflower?
Pivot. Pivot is that. So I know that you was excited. You wanted to see what that book was or hear about it. And if you don't mind, I'll just share a little bit about it. It's
cool.
It's a journal. Someone is writing to someone else, and so far what I get from it is you want to be that person that people feel comfortable to write to and to give you the things that they're going through and stuff. But I didn't get far enough to know, is it going to stay that way or what changes? I don't know. But it's just journal entries. And I was like, I kind of need something else right now.
Okay, and it was like you were reading somebody's journal entries?
I was reading, yes. Because I feel like the person that they're writing it to, but they're writing it to this guy named Charlie.
Oh, I see. That's a very interesting way to write a book. I don't think I've ever heard of anything like that. So I'll probably still check it out at some point. Just for the audience, my book to read was the communication book.
44, right?
It was 44 ideas to that could help you in everyday communication. And
Who's the author of that one?
it was written by two people, Michael Krogeris and Roman Schappeler. I probably messed all that shit up, but I'm trying to give them their credit where it's due because it was pretty good. But it wasn't too heavy of a read, so I can imagine it's something that I think you would enjoy as well because it's more so like structured by like literally 44 different things that about communication, whether it was theory or laws or studies somebody else put. So it wasn't really like them saying this is what's gonna work, that's gonna work. It was just them bringing in different things from a lot of uh, philosophers and psychologists.
Okay.
So it was very interesting.
Is that a book that you would recommend, like to outside of us, but to others as well?
Honestly, I don't think I would recommend it to a stranger because it's so specific. It's like really if you're looking to improve your means of communication. I think that takes a you need to be very intentional with that. That needs to be like a desire for you in order for you to really apply it. It's not like something that you just like read a story, like a person being a wallflower. I feel like somebody read that book, they'd probably benefit from just seeing the story because storytelling is so important.
Yep.
And they talk about storytelling in this book of the communication book. But remind me again, what was the book that you read that you pivoted to?
15 Invaluable Laws of Growth.
Where'd you get that book from?
Audible.
Oh, so it's
It's an audio book for
you've been
sure.
listening to it while driving.
Driving and while I'm doing jobs.
Have you finished it?
Yeah, I finished it. And I definitely need to. That's why I like audiobooks because you can always go back. So it's not like I listen to it once and I'm done with it. That's my book for the next week again.
So you're gonna run it back?
Have to.
So I feel like that still counts as you reaching the goal. So I'm not holding you to the point of where you have to sit down and flip the pages of a book to have been successful in your week. If you're gonna listen to audiobooks, I'm cool with that. If you're cool with that.
I appreciate that. Also, I also know though that Audible, you get 1 credit per month, my guy.
But what about the those people that don't know out there? If you have a library card, you can download these two apps. I believe they're
One is
called
Hoopla.
Hoopla and Libby, where you can log in with your library card membership and get free audiobooks. So
Right.
it's definitely a good hack.
100%. They are very though. They are limited in the selection.
Yeah, but hey, free is free.
No,
Can't
no,
knock
no. Yeah,
that.
and that's why if you're saying like, what about that? That's why because some of the books, the recommendations that I have to go to, they're not in their library.
Yeah, because I went on Libby looking for Atomic Habits and I couldn't find it. But then I ended up, where did I find it at? Goodwill or something like
Yeah, you
that?
found that cool.
Goodwill is it's my spot. It's like a cheat code for the books, honestly. If you got the
Facts.
time to just scan through it, you can find anything.
Ryan is building quite the library at his casa.
I know it's funny though, you kept mentioning how we gotta give back because he's like, Jakai says, we find so many good things at Goodwill, we gotta pay it forward and make a donation at the end of the year. And I get kind of frustrated thinking about that because it's like, yo, I'm out there looking for these books. What do you mean I gotta give them to somebody else? But it does make a lot of sense, like because I'd rather give my books to a stranger, like hand it to them, and not force them to pay $1 or $2 at Goodwill because I really recommend this book. But in itself, it's still something I'm thinking about because I used to buy a lot of books from Barnes and Noble, and I would give them out to my students. And I look back on that, I'm like, damn, I paid $30 for that book.
And like, I mean, I do like what you just said though. You'd rather give to a stranger. I mean, that counts as well. Like, that's paying it for. You don't gotta give it back to Goodwill. It's just, I mean, ideally you want to give it to someone who's actually gonna utilize it. So that's the hard part, I guess.
Yeah, that is. Well, I'm a work in progress, so I'll just keep going with that. I'm trying to think of other things that we've spoken about that I know I wanted to stay on top of. Let me ask you some advice, actually. Because to be all honest, in all honesty, I'm doing this episode in this way, not only because I want to do a check-in and be transparent about our process, but I also been having like issues with scheduling people for my podcast. Like sometimes somebody would say, "Yeah, I'm down. I want to do this during this date," and I find it when the date gets closer, people will either change their tune on how open they want to be, or just honestly become unresponsive. And a couple weeks ago, even with Brendan, he was running a little behind schedule. He was still gonna pull up, but I gave him option to be like, "Yo, if you can't make it, just let me know." And you and Brendan, I mentioned like, don't give people those easy outs, right?
Right.
But how do you deal with a guest that is just completely unresponsive, and you know them personally?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ryan, as a welcome to the podcast in life, brother. That's part of the game. And advice that I gave you before though is just always prepared to have a pivot, either to do a solo episode or as you're doing now, you made the pivot. Thank God you have me on the podcast. I appreciate it. The advice is just that always be prepared. Like don't expect someone to show up. So just be prepared for them not to show up.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And I guess I struggled with that because I don't want to.
But let me ask you
Not
this: I'm sorry for cutting you off.
you good.
Do you think you struggle with it more knowing the person, or just even if you didn't know the person, if there was like a stranger that agreed to it, you would still have the same struggle?
I think I struggle with it more knowing the person because I try to be as like I know a while ago. I don't think I mentioned it on this podcast, but like we work with a strategist on my job, and she told me to go ask people one thing I can do to become more successful or further myself professionally. And the most common feedback that I got from people was I need to communicate more. I need to be more open about that stuff, or like letting people know something sooner rather than later, or when it's absolutely need to know. So I've tried to be better with that and my communication. Sometimes I can over communicate. It's like I find I'm struggling to find a balance. I'll either over communicate or under communicate. But right now I'm in a space where I'd rather over communicate and pull back from that than under communicate. So when people under communicate where it was non-existent, I get kind of frustrated in that.
Is that like because you're expecting them to give the same effort that you're giving?
I'm not, because I know I'm over communicating sometimes. I don't want them to give the same effort, but it's like, I don't ever want to come across as bothering somebody. So honestly, if you're not down for something, provide clarity. Because clarity is like so important to me. And I realized that through communicating with people. Sometimes somebody might not know something or feel the same way you feel. And if I can communicate to them why something is so important to me, I would hope you understand. And then in turn communicate, even if you're going to fall out, because you think about how it's going to affect me by you not showing up. And to your point, like, expectations are a hell of a thing.
Yes. Yes. Try not to have them if you can. I mean, let's get rid of try. Don't have them.
Yeah. I do want to ask you some questions though that are, let's call these a trial.
Run it.
What is your most memorable memory from middle school?
From middle school?
Yeah.
There's not one specific one, but I'm gonna say like my loves. Like that's when I really got, I guess, interested in girls.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm not sure if I get in trouble for naming any names, so I won't.
So yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, but yeah, like I say, like that young love.
Okay.
I didn't have no phone or nothing, so that was an interesting time. That iPad boy with the internet, iPad Touch or iPod Touch.
Yeah, iPod Touch days is crazy. Wherever that Wi-Fi was at, it was on.
I would find myself outside on lawn the hill, connected to somebody's internet.
Um,
Those are the days, man. What about you? What's your most memorable time of middle school?
middle school was a bit of a challenge for me. I have a lot of trauma from middle school, to be honest.
Oh, trauma.
Because that's when I started breaking a lot of bones back then, and then doctor finally told me what was up with me, and like I had broken both my elbows, I fractured a growth plate in my knee, and then I feel like my scoliosis was worsening. So there's a lot of stuff that I couldn't do. I mean, even for I think I broke my elbow in gym in 6th grade, and I couldn't play gym for the rest of middle school.
Jeez.
So
is that why? This is kind of a joke, but at the same time, it's like because I talked about on the first episode you had my wife and I. how you were like kind of like the first, I guess, entrepreneur, right? Even on my podcast, and you would charge us the money. But now I think about it, would you low key charge us the money so you could pay for your medical bills?
Nigga, shut the fuck up. No, but honestly, I think I would do all those different things because I wasn't allowed to. I stopped being able to express myself physically, so mentally I had to figure out a lot of stuff. So whether it's be entrepreneurship or like back in the day when we was just doing the editing and stuff like that, recording or whatever it may have been. Honestly, I remember when. Shit, I remember when we was playing football in the back and I fucking fractured my growth plate. I don't know if you was there, but it was terrible, yo. But then I just started like really recording the football games and making highlights for people.
And
the
that
shit
was fun.
funny.
That was just as fun as playing. I'll tell you that right now. Watching
Yeah,
it back.
it was. I felt like it was a way for me to keep involved. So I kept finding different ways to express myself in different mediums and still be friends with everybody that I was friends with. It was pretty fun.
It definitely was.
Um, you know what I'm gonna do right now? I'm gonna read a poem,
Read it.
and I might read a couple. Who knows? We'll see how we go. This one is called "Twist of Fate." As I had read it, and then it was something that resonated with me. It's funny because a lot of these poems I've written in like 2018 and 2019, and I edited them over time. And like even nowadays, like I'm just really getting back into writing completely new things. But it's just funny because like you think when you really look back on life and you think about I think about how life has changed for me now. It's like there's really there was really I was just scared to make the decisions and take the actions in the way of things that I knew I should have because life I truly believe you have the answers you really need. It's just being too scared to make the decisions and understand like how life is gonna change and change can be so scary, you know?
Gotta take that action, man.
But yeah, I call this Twist of Fate. It goes such vague remembrance, toiling in the essence of our effervescent youth, and the leftover passion that kept us together for another day. We would talk to the moon, relayed to the sun, then lay for hours. You would say the rays felt like kisses and hugs. That always made me smile. I guess it was because I felt your kisses and hugs felt like rays from the sun. Till the April showers veiled my energy and left me regular violet. Not enough empathy for chivalry. From quirky laughs to dead silence. Do you remember our balance? When did loving you become such a challenge? Seems all our romantics are lost among semantics. What are words anyway? Do you see our antics? Do you feel the tension meant by indecision? Do you hear the pleas meant by derision? Or has my pessimism skewed reality again? I blame my foolish pride for my lack of recollection. Um,
I've heard that. I've had the pleasure of hearing my guy Ryan recite that on a couple of occasions, man. And
but yeah,
a beast.
appreciate you, but it's just funny. Like I read that thinking, damn, like really, life is life. It's beautiful.
You read a certain part, and I'm not even gonna say it because I don't know if that's my place. But you said it was a certain part in there. Like I kind of got the chills and I smiled a bit. Like
So good. You can read it. You can.
it was the part about the. I mean, you could take this multiple ways to be honest. But where you said, "When did loving you become such a challenge?" And like, and this just may be from my knowledge of more recent poems that you've written and stuff like that. But just like I got the chills there because how I interpreted that. What I interpret that to be.
I respect that, man.
Let me ask you this though. Have you ever like in one of the books that I read, I told you about Ryan Hawk, Pursuit of Excellence, and are you familiar with like something called like a self audit?
I'm not. I guess I'm not familiar with it, but it's something that I need to do for myself. Not like a self audit, but like I guess from the Atomic Habits book, a habit audit.
Oh,
I still gotta do that. I told myself that was gonna be a goal. I'm gonna put that on my to-do list for this week for sure.
okay. And the difference between the two is that the habit audit is like you writing down your bad habits, your good habits, whereas a self audit is when you go to you have a community now, right? So you go to the members of your community and you ask them, how do you describe me when I'm not around? because how people describe you when you're not around, that's your character. That's perceived character.
That's true, but I feel like niggas be lying.
Damn.
Like somebody you might go to somebody and be like, "How would I describe you when I'm not around?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, I don't know. I probably don't really talk about you around other people or whatever." You know what I mean? It's a hard question to answer. Like it's hard to go to somebody and expect them to say something that you could work on necessarily. Because
Mm.
if you describe me in a negative way when I'm not around, I really don't think you're my people. Because that negative light should be told to me so I could work on myself.
Well, see, look, I think that's the beautiful thing about me even asking that question. First off, I never like I would. That was an interesting response that you just gave. And I would say that like first off, you're asking your your community, and the community that you have is people that you trust and all
Mm-hmm.
that stuff, right? So like whether they say something that's, I mean, would you say negative or
Mm-hmm.
bad? Like what did Shakespeare say that we
Nothing is
might?
either good or bad.
Okay, right. So like anything that they say is just so you know, you want them to be comfortable to say things that can be perceived as bad.
I would hope. I would hope, but like my thing is, if I gotta come to you for you to tell me something that's perceived as bad, why didn't you let me? Why didn't you tell me that a minute ago so I could upgrade my game?
Or what am I not doing right? You told me about like making people comfortable. What am I not doing that's not making you comfortable enough to let me know that I was short in this area?
Yeah. So I guess what I have an issue with is just how um the question of how do you talk about me when I'm not around? I'd rather just ask somebody straight up like,
Or
what
how
do
you
you
describe
feel
me to
like?
others?
I guess yeah. How would you describe me to others, or how could I improve, or something like that? Because like I guess back in the day, right? I used to work at Radio Shack, right? And we hired this new girl, and I told my manager like, "Yo, you kind of fucked up, yo. I could tell, cause like this person just didn't want to be around." So don't get me wrong, like I mean, no shade to people. Like you hustle how you hustle, but it's one of those situations where somebody got a job for like 3 or 6 months to quit so they could collect unemployment.
Uh,
You know what I mean? And that's
yeah, yeah.
exactly what happened.
Uh,
But nonetheless, damn, I even mentioned that, and I was thinking about the wrong person. Anyway, so, but this other person, this other person I worked with, they mentioned to me like I don't know if I asked her or she just mentioned to me, and she was like, yeah, because I worked mad hours. Like I was there every day. She was like, "What's his name?" Told me. Like she asked the boss like how everybody was to see how they were, who she's gonna work with, whether she could be comfortable. And she was like, "Yeah." He was like, he's like, "You're cool, but you can get in your mood sometimes where you just don't want to talk or stuff like that."
that's what the boss said about you.
Yeah, that's what he said about me to her, and he never said anything like that to me. And I'm cool with that. Like I'm cool with that feedback because if I can be honest and self reflect, that is something that I just struggle with. I just bottling emotions until I exploded
Right.
necessarily, you know?
Yeah.
And that was interesting to hear from her. I respected that she could share that with me. But even back then, it was something that I tried to work on. But you're not ready to face yourself until you're ready to face yourself.
True. We all see different things in the mirror, right?
Yeah. And I'm loving what I see in the mirror. How do you feel about when you look in the mirror?
Yeah, good. Besides, when his nose is dripping, I'll tell you that.
Mm,
I'm
yeah,
still annoyed.
I
Still in
respect
seven.
that. I respect that. I mean, I to be honest, I got dentist appointments tomorrow too. So,
You happy about that?
I'm about to get right. I'm about to get right.
When you say you about to get right, you mean like you about to get it cleaning and all that stuff?
Regular cleaning, but I think I'm scheduled on the whitening.
Oh,
You know, because do it that professional one time and then keep up with it myself. But it's something that would definitely build my confidence for myself. Not like I need it for other people. I'll still smile and do whatever, but it's a personal thing.
why'd you feel like you needed to add that last part? Not for other people.
Um, because I feel like I used to be for like you don't think like you think that you can't see your teeth every day. You know what I mean? Or the whole day while you're out. But when you do see it in the mirror, I want to be confident in that. Like I want to see that and be like, yeah,
Yes,
you
sir.
know. Like I mean, even now, like dang, to be trans, I guess just say what it is. Um, I don't think I didn't always brush my teeth twice a day. I brush my teeth in the morning, floss, and maybe use mouthwash, but not consistently. But something that like is part of that building confidence in yourself, doing that more often for myself, I have a much more confident feeling going out into my days rather than even seeing it. Even though I feel like there's a difference and I think I see there's a difference, it's just one of those habits that we talked about before. Where if you do it, you build that confidence,
Right.
and I'm feeling that, and I'm working towards to James Clear's point. I'm working towards habit stacking,
Mm.
you know, and it's a very
What with what?
well, it's the whole routine of when I go to the bathroom and I turn on that faucet. If I put toothbrush on my toothbrush, I'm gonna make sure I use mouthwash.
Okay.
If I feel like I had just ate early, I'm gonna make sure I floss. And as I go, if I when I talk to the dentist tomorrow, I'm gonna see what else I could be adding into that mixture. How often I should be doing something, you know?
I respect that too. And I know you said that you kind of like hinted to yourself like embarrassing because you say you usually only brush once a day.
Hmm.
Nothing to be embarrassed about, especially when it's your truth. That's something that I used to do before, only once a day, until I started doing it twice. And then also like flossing. For whatever reason, I thought flossing like just wasn't good for me. It create gaps or whatever. But nah, that's it's important to floss.
Yo, your teeth feel completely different. And
And brushing your teeth for 2 minutes. I still struggle with that. Sometimes I don't do it for 2 minutes. But
I ain't gonna lie, I got a cheat code.
you got a cheat code?
Yeah, my Oral B toothbrush, it vibrates every 30 seconds and then it vibrates crazy at the end of 2 minutes.
Oh.
So it's an investment I definitely recommend for people. It's about $80. It's a Oral B Plus or something like that.
I respect that, or I appreciate that more than I respect it, because it's not that I don't know when 2 minutes is up. It's like I'm not as patient as I should be with
Yeah.
brushing my teeth.
And before, like, I ain't gonna lie, I had a toothbrush for a couple months now. Sometimes I still be brushing for just minute 30 seconds. I be like, man, this shit ain't never gonna come. But like, but like, it's now I'm in a space where like I'll just use it and I'll be like, damn, it was 2 minutes already, and I still like gotta get my tongue or get something else. You know what I mean? So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's dope. What's the toothbrush called again? You said
Oral B Pro, something like that.
they sponsor you?
Shit, they might have to after I get this whitening.
You never know. They might have one of those programs where like you get a code, and then if anybody use your code, say you get something, you should hit them up.
Facts. I mean, somebody already hit me up on fucking Instagram. Once I changed my page to my page to a business, they already like, we want you to be one of our brand ambassadors for sunglasses. So you go through with my pictures, you don't see sunglasses one time, and it's talking about you want me to be a brand ambassador. Just delete.
Those be real. Like, I mean, on the level that we on right now, in podcasting early on, right? We gonna get the type of the deals where we gotta buy something from them and then promote it, and then if people use the code, we might get a percentage. But that's what we want. Is we don't gotta buy anything from you. You see what we doing, and you gonna give us the code, hook us up with the product for free, so we can like enjoy it and we can talk about it authentically, and then promote.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's cool, but that's not like a personal goal. I really want to just get into a space where like I'm really looking forward to the next couple of guests I have lined up. I really want to get into the space of just really making people feel comfortable and living their truths, and I find it easier and easier the more I open up and be more comfortable. Because like in the episode that I did have, was it the second episode or third episode? Vulnerability is my superpower. It's something that I truly believe, and it's allowed me to excel in the work that I do. But before I get lost on track, I really want to get back onto the goal that we had for the reason why we did start the book club is about bringing something back from the books that we read or listened to and being able to speak on something that we're going to work on moving forward. Do you want to go first or want me to go first?
You go first.
So yeah, my book was a communication book, 44 ideas to improve everyday conversations. And two things that I believe that I really need to work on were, first one was letting people finish their sentences. Like I feel like I cut people off often, and it's kind of like, cause I be annoyed at letting people think and stuff like that. Cause I could like, understand what they're trying to say and when when they're not looking for the word. I mean, you could look into my last podcast because I specifically remember finishing a couple of Robert sentences, and I feel like before it was like me showing that I can understand the other person or I understand you, but it more so comes off as rude. And I really want to give people the space to think out their thoughts so they can be more intentional in their words. And I'll be stumbling over my words because I'm trying to get out what I'm thinking fast, where I should be taking my time and be more intentional. That's one.
That had anything to do with patience too?
Definitely patience. That's like I got no patience for that. Like I'll be trying to move to the next joint, but I really just need to slow down. Speaking about a lot of different things.
Respect. I can resonate with that one too. Definitely something that I've grown to like let people finish their thoughts, and that's advice that you've given me before when I used to do the Average Blows podcast. Uh, one of the laws in 15 invaluable laws of growth is the law of the rubber band, and it's like how rubber bands are meant to be stretched. So like you should stretch yourself, and I think that's as when people say like get outside your comfort zone. So similar to that, stretch yourself, get outside your comfort zone and stuff. But like you was just here for a guest that I had on my podcast, like hearing them. There was a moment where I felt uncomfortable, and I that kind of reminded me like, yo, I got to do that more often. I got to feel more uncomfortable. I got to stretch myself more often.
What was it that made you feel uncomfortable? Because this gonna come out after, so I feel like it's reasonable. You can
No,
talk
yeah,
about it.
yeah, yeah. It was just like so like when he started mentioning certain like philosophers, and just like how he spoke, and it just seemed like so sure, and like then I like damn wait I don't know those people, like am I not like so that kind of made me uncomfortable like a little bit, but then you was here and it just like I don't why you thinking so much? It's okay. It's okay to not know as much as other people. And actually, I want to always be that. I don't want to be the person that everybody's coming to, like, and there's no one I got to go to to learn from. You know what they say about you don't want to be the smartest person in the room. You want to be in the room where other people are smarter than you.
Yeah, but even that, like, I think don't even think about somebody being smarter than you. I think it comes back to, dang, whose quote is this? But if I look it up, it was in that communication book. They do got some gems in there. I can't lie.
I'm sure.
It was you can always learn something from anybody.
It's a fact.
So just take it as that. Like you've lived your life in a certain environment and you've chosen certain paths to take, and somebody's gonna have a different experience, even might be regarding the exact same thing. And just that perspective in itself is something that you can learn from. And that just motivation for us to read more. I mean, that's why we're doing this book club. I can tell you about this, but I can't tell you about the joints that you read.
Right. It's not like, and when I say smarter, I don't think that's our favorite line, right? It's not a bad thing or nothing. It's just sometimes I do the imposter syndrome. It's just like what am I doing? Who do I think I am? Like that's a thought sometimes. I'm not gonna lie about that. It's a thought sometimes. Sometimes it just comes up, but I deal with it.
Yeah, and before I get to my second point, that was thing I learned from the book. I do want to bring up a conversation that we had with George when we were walking over to the block party that really resonated with me.
I do gotta say, I'm sorry for cutting you off, but I had another conversation with George, and he said that young man Ryan, he has a great smile, and that car, ooh, he love your car, man.
Oh, tell him if you want to buy it. I got him. No, but I was gonna mention he had said something when he was talking about his wife or his girlfriend. I'm not too sure the status. His wife. He was like he'll read a book, be still enlightened by it, and then be hype, and then go down to her and be like, "Yo, you gotta do this or that because of the book he read." And he's like, "Yo, I gotta tell myself, yo, shut the fuck up. Like, just because you read this book, you're not an expert." And I gotta think about that for myself. And how did you take that?
When he said that, that reminded me, and I don't. I apologize for spilling too much beans, but I hearing that, reflecting, I guess that was me. Like my wife would tell me that I would come off as pretentious, right? Like I know everything, and then like when I reflect, I guess I was like I'll read something, and then how I'm going about letting her know what I know now is coming off in a way where like, nah, you don't like. So yeah, that it was real for me. I felt that. Like shit. That's why I appreciate George.
Yeah, it was so dope, and it hit on so many different levels though. Cause like I even like in a past relationship I had, right? Somebody would always tell me like, "Oh, you're the smartest person I know," and I it was appreciate that, but it always made me feel uncomfortable, right? And that was like in the beginning of the relationship, and then later on in the relationship, it became, "You always think you're right," it's mad funny. So I guess I try to try to really live by that and take a step back and try to really just understand people and not force what I know onto them, because people are going to grow at whatever pace that they're going to grow at, and they don't necessarily have to see the world how I see the world, because we can both be right.
100%. There's this saying, two guys were in prison. They both looked out the window. One saw the stars and one saw the street.
Yeah. But yeah, the other thing that I learned from the communication book that I thought was dope is it's the peak end rule.
The
It's a
peak end?
the peak end rule.
Share.
It's about so often we're told the most important thing is a first impression, because you only get one, right?
Yeah.
But it's like when you think about the relationships you have with people or the strangers you've met, it necessarily wasn't the first impression you had. It was the highlight of the time and how things ended. Like, especially if you can have a great first impression, a great hour date, but if the date ends poorly in the last 10 minutes, all you remember is that date being bad.
Touche.
So it's like I'm trying to put more emphasis on not how I come across in the beginning or when you first see me of being refined or whatever, but I really want to just have a good experience with people, and that shift in itself is something that I'm really trying to be intentional about, and doubling down on how people really want to talk about themselves. And I'm okay with that, because, like we said, we can always learn something from somebody. So I want to talk to people and dive so deep that they tell me something I never knew, or something that they never knew about themselves.
That Hey, I'm looking forward to that journey right there, where you have a book of all these things that people have told you that they didn't even know about themselves. That's dope.
And I think that in itself is the root of something to hold this to me.
Respect, man.
Um, where we at with time?
We are once again. Ryan is doing this unorthodox. 37 minutes.
Uh, Anything you want to get off your chest?
Um, nah, man, I'm still frustrated or annoyed, man, with this nose situation, man. But yeah, nothing in particular I want to get off, unless you
Uh,
want to ask a certain question or I don't know.
um,
Anything you want to get off your chest, man? 1-800, get it off.
no, I got it off already. I just can't have expectations when it comes to scheduling people, and understand that I'm never gonna be angry or upset about that. People are gonna live their lives the way they want to live their lives, and we're all on our own time. So if our timings don't coincide with each other, that's okay.
What are you gonna do differently?
Maybe I'll catch you in the future. What I'm gonna do differently is like you said, just prepare a more structured backup plan, because my backup plan before was usually myself, but I did try to reach out to other people. But I'm gonna try to get more people in mind that were open to just hop on that and just have, like I said, do something maybe where it's like the vulnerability is my superpower, or something like this. Maybe I could I'll just bring in somebody that has been here before and more dependable, and we can do something less structured to show people the way you can really hold somebody accountable, or you can just check in like this with the very freestyled conversation.
I feel like one of the things about your podcast, especially it just being audio, there's an advantage to that and there's a disadvantage to that. I'll start with the disadvantage because you can't see where you're recording at. I think some of like podcasting with video, being able to see like, oh, they're in a studio, that will make them maybe more excited to come. And since you don't have that, but the other thing is because you're just audio, and maybe you keep this in mind, we talked about it before, you can also pull up to other people too.
Yeah, and that is my goal. I was gonna try to pull up on this future guest that I have planned, but he was like he has a party all day today. But I'll get to that. Like, definitely pulling up on people is the future where I want to go. And I think another strategy I could have is, because like you said, if it's just audio, pulling up to somebody in the middle of the week and having those bonus episodes for days like this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right in your pocket. Ooh.
But I'm gonna run one more poem and let's get out of here.
Do it.
Any recommendations?
To a poll?
Yeah.
You did the Black Boy one. Nah, just let's random.
Random.
Random. Random means you swipe up once, and then whatever it lands on, it lands on.
Uh,
There we go. Because Ryan was over here trying to pick.
I know I was trying to get some heat for y'all. Burn this house down.
Knock it off.
You got insurance, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, this one's a poem I actually wrote back in college. I actually took a class on poetry. So it speaks to like it was always really something I enjoyed. And I forgot how he told me that he gave us like a specific scheme or something like that for us to write a poem to. And this is what I came up with. And it was cool because after I read it, he was like, "Do you have anything else like that?" You know, it was interesting for some writer to say that to me. So I was like, "Dang, could I be really doing something with this?" And I hope to be.
You are now, goddammit.
Every summer, sirens flash and light up the night sky. Men hop out a van padded in armor, muzzles so long they scrape the ground, secure the area, question everyone, then they disappear like they were never there. Summer blues. This is something that holds us.